this is the news. I swear,
but he did look like him, though.
Yeah, no, it was just, it wasn't good. I've seen bad comedies before.
Salt.
Yeah.
And how they figured out to say,
yeah,
they're great.
Yeah, it was. Oof. Yeah, Unfrosted was literally terrible. I can't recommend it. I really wouldn't. It's one of those moments where it's like, you've heard me recommend things that you're like, you would watch this. It actually took me 3 days to watch it.
Did you watch the final trailer of Deadpool, though, when they bring out a certain female?
We'll go over that a little later. No, but there's been a lot, but that Unfrosted just, I'm like,
I think I fell asleep during it.
That's why it took me 3 days. I had to stop it. I think I stopped like 15 minutes in, and I'm like, why am I watching this? Yep. And I'm like, you know what? Let me give it another shot. I got probably about another half hour in, and then I was like, this isn't good. And then I had to go back, and I was just like on day 3. I was like, let me just finish this because I don't want this to be like partially through my queue where it's like, oh, here it is. Now it's like it'll be there
forever.
Yeah, I'm like, no.
The Gentleman is at least a little more decent than that.
There was a lot that was better than that, and that was like just god awful. You know, I don't know how. Let me ask you guys, just in all honesty, the way I open the show, do I need to try something different?
No, you're doing fine.
Because I feel like I mean, our banter is one thing, but I think maybe I need to change things up.
What would you want to change?
I don't know. Should I? You know, maybe I should steal somebody's catchphrase. You know, like, let me talk to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
Or like R-Truth, just ask anybody in any other sports group if they wanted to have a title match.
Oh, you know, maybe I could always try. So, internet, what do you want to talk about?
Could work.
Could. Yeah. I'll kick it around. But you know what? Let's just stick with the standard. Welcome, everyone, to the Dragoon's Lair podcast. I am the Blue Dragoon himself, Daniel the Dragon. And with me once again is King Hamster Pellet himself, Mike Schiavo.
What's shaking, people?
And the family man himself, Jimmy Haynes.
What's up?
Yep. So we've had a very interesting couple of weeks. You guys have a lot of stuff that you can go over. So we can cherry pick the best and stuff to go over for highlights. So, though, just to retouch up in case anybody was confused, I watched Unfrosted, not part of our normal topic. I wasn't sure about it, and
now he's definitely sure he's not a.
Yeah, exactly.
Anybody need something to go to sleep to?
You had a great cast. I will say that cast was awesome. But it was legitimately terrible of a movie.
Most things that are Unfrosted are horrible, so.
You know, listen, the toaster strudels actually aren't that bad.
No.
But Pop-Tarts do need to be frosted.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that movie was not a good story. And I'm like, Jerry Seinfeld's usually pretty funny. And I just...
What happened to me?
Yeah, no, this was... Oof. So... Everything's been nuts, but we're going to go over a bunch of stuff. I want to just, before we touch on some of the other things, before Mike goes into like his AEW stuff, I really got to address, everybody's been responsive to the TikTok videos and the clips from the episodes, and I'm very grateful for that. But we did have one person commenting that it's like our information's out of date. And like they buried people in a segment that we weren't even talking about something about that. We're not Dave Meltzer.
Nope.
This is not a full wrestling podcast.
You're not the Wrestling Observer.
Yeah, we're just covering wrestling because it's part of entertainment. We
are a bi-weekly podcast.
Yeah.
So
we enjoy pop culture.
Exactly.
Deal with it.
We're about entertainment, whether it's movies, music, TV shows. Wrestling is entertainment. You know, if we wanted to do a sports podcast, it would be a completely different show. And we're not doing that.
No.
We don't have any insider information. These are our opinions. These are our thoughts on the things that we know. If you think that our information's out of date, okay.
Let us know.
Yeah. But if you're going to criticize on something that we didn't even touch on, Oh, I'm sorry, but if you're looking for wrestling news, no. There's a lot of other guys out there that'll be able to provide that. We're more on the entertainment of what was good and what we enjoyed. That's about it. So, Mike, do you want to tell everyone your highlights from AEW?
All right, we're going back 2 weeks, or we're just going last week?
You got 2 weeks.
I got 2 weeks. All right, so from doing Dynamite.
Yep.
From the first, we opened up with the Cope Open. Adam Copeland's open challenge to anybody for his title.
Okay.
First up from the House of Black, Buddy Matthews. Good match. Both of these guys can go. At the end, it goes back and forth, but Copeland's not dropping it on TV anytime soon. This sets up a whole angle with the House of Black. Lights go out. All of a sudden, the House of Black appears. They're like they're going to kick their shit out of Copeland. Malachi says something which stuns Copeland. Lights go out. They disappear. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? Blah, 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 blah. That was it. Match-wise, it was a very good match. It was about maybe the 5 to 7 minute range, but a lot of action happened in that very good match. I don't think I have anything bad to say about it. Next up, Samoa Joe versus Isaiah Cassidy. When you have two guys that have totally different styles, Isaiah is a high flyer, Joe is a ground and pounder, you're like, okay, this is going to be like a lopsided match. Absolutely not. One of my favorite things that Joe does is the no-sell, where you see like somebody getting ready to jump off the top rope, and Joe's sitting there all wobbly, and then all of a sudden he just snaps out of it, walks away. He's like, yeah, no, I'm not selling for you. It is the funniest thing you will ever see. Like, he sits there all wobbly, like, oh, and jump off the top rope, like, yeah, no, I'm good. Walk away. So Joe wins. Not much of a surprise there, but again, another very good match. We have the FTW, which used to stand for Fuck the World.
Yeah.
Now it's For the World.
Oh, okay.
Chris Jericho is using the moniker of the Learning Tree. Don't ask me why. So you have Chris, the Learning Tree Jericho, versus Katsunui Shibata. Match was all over the place. Okay, it was in the ring, it was out of the ring, it was up the aisle, down the aisle, it was all over the place. They used everything: trash can lids, trash cans, kendo sticks. At one point, Jericho, keep in mind, they're in Canada, they're in Edmonton, and it is the playoffs.
Yep.
Jericho goes under the ring, brings out a black velvet bag, and everybody's like, oh boy, here we go, it's going to be thumbtacks. No, it was hockey pucks. Why? Because it's Chris Jericho. Why the fuck not?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Well, it's Canada. His dad was a hockey player.
His dad was a hockey player. Edmonton was in the playoffs. Why the fuck not?
Yep.
Everybody like, oh, tax, hockey pucks. That, even the commentators went, what? So, ended up, Jericho, retained the title, but all throughout the match, Taz was ripping on him a little bit here and there, and, because originally that was Taz's title.
Yep.
And then, his son had it. So I can see down the line maybe a tag team, because right now Jericho is tagging with Big Bill. I could see maybe down the line Taz making a comeback for one match. Taz and Hook, Jericho and Big Bill. I could see that happening.
All right.
Excuse me again. Then we move on to Brian Cage versus Claudio Castagnoli. When you see the size of these two men, you're like, okay, these guys are going to keep it in the ring. It's going to be a lot of, it's going to be 5 moves between the two of them. Not the case. Both of these men are big, and they have absolutely no problem doing moonsaults, flying over the top rope, doing anything a high flyer would do with these muscle-bound physiques. It's amazing. I don't think I've ever seen a bad match with Claudio or Brian Cage. Towards the end of the match, Claudio gets the win, but he did manage to put Brian Cage in the Cesaro swing, and he propelled this man around the ring, which is not an easy thing to do. Claudio gets the win by making Cage tap out in the sharpshooter.
All right.
Then we had Serena Deeb. She announces she's going after Timeless Toni Storm, which I wish she would drop that gimmick, because I just think it's stupid as shit. Mm-hmm. Serena Deeb versus Toni Storm at Double or Nothing for the Women's Championship. I can see Storm dropping the title to Deeb at Double or Nothing.
Okay.
Those are the highlights, in my opinion, which is mine opinion, from the first. Fast forward to last week. Opening up with Orange Cassidy versus Trent Beretta. Now, for those of you who don't know, you're like, why is these two guys fighting? They're supposed to be best friends. Turned out best friends are no more. Trent turned on Cassidy and turned on Cassidy and Chuck. And supposedly this isn't a work. Trent really messed up his wrist, and his wrestling career might legitimately be over. So that's the angle they're working at. And Trent playing up the heel. This match, again, all over the place.
5-minute timer.
This match, all over the place. Cassidy ends up coming away with the win. But then again, Trent, being the heel that he is right now, doesn't like the fact he takes the stairs, beats the shit out of Orange Cassidy with the steps. Don Callis and Chris Statlander come in to stop the two of them. Statlander's trying to talk sense into Beretta. Meanwhile, Callis takes Orange up the ramp. Don't know what the angle is going to be with them. Is Orange Cassidy going to join the Don Callis family? I doubt it, but we'll see. Then we get a promo from Kenny Omega. He's in the hospital, died of reticulitis. And we have the Young Bucks just pretty much running roughshod over AEW right now. So they set up a match for Double or Nothing. It's going to be the Young Bucks and Okada will face FTR and two other people that will be named later. Well, by the end of the show, those two other people have been named. So it's going to be, the Young Bucks and Okada versus FTR, Bryan Danielson, and Eddie Kingston. That should be a hell of a match. And then fast forward, last match, we had Adam Copeland versus Brody King, again for the Cope Open. We have two guys here. You have Copeland, who's in his 50s. All right? You have Brody King, who's almost 300 pounds. These two men went all over the place, flying through the air, doing moves. You're like, how can a guy this big or this in his 50s take care of, do stuff like this? Cope ends up winning, but then again, lights go out, come back up, the House of Black is around him. Now, King is in the ring, he's all wobbly, Copeland has a chair, and Malachi Black is telling him, smash him with the chair. Smash him with the chair. And this is like, and Copeland is like, this is your boy, what are you telling me to do? What is this? Lights go out, House of Black is gone, and Copeland Copeland is standing in the ring trying to figure out what the hell is going on. So this is going to be an interesting story. See where they're going to push it with the House of Black and Adam Copeland.
All right. So, Jimmy, now from WWE, because we got way too much on the WWE side, thanks to the draft.
Thanks to the draft, which was...
And a pay-per-view
typical.
or a premium live event. Why did... this just makes... that's one of these things that bothers me. I get it. We've moved to streaming. Mm-hmm. But now calling them premium live events, are they really?
No. Remember, I'm premium live repeat now.
Exactly.
Recorded repeat.
Well, what was it? Because this one was in France, so it aired at 1 o'clock in the afternoon here.
One.
Yep, breathe.
And it's going to happen next month, in a few weeks, at the King of the Ring also, in Jihad.
Which I'm like, I can't wait for that contract to end with the Saudis.
If
by
it ends.
next year or this year.
It needs to end because...
I wouldn't be surprised if they re-up it.
Well, now it'll depend on TKO, and I don't think TKO's as greedy a bunch of
They're
whores.
looking into Japan for that.
Yeah.
They're looking into Japan for that one, even the King of the Ring. And Crown Jewel. They're looking in on that.
Yeah, because these were bad. I can't stand that. Whenever they go over there, especially after we had that one time in the past where they all got stuck because they wouldn't let them leave. Mm-hmm. It's like, you didn't pay us, and and you're not going to let us leave. That was just terrible. Bad look overall for everybody.
But at least it built up the NXT versus SmackDown versus Raw.
It did for...
But that's all.
But that was so few and far between.
Yeah.
And it's like, it hasn't happened. It's pretty much been put on the back burner. So we'll see the new era.
We'll see.
Yeah. So, Jimmy...
in all honesty, with the new era, with the Raw and SmackDown drafts, other than everybody keeping their champions, tag, US, and the world champions, the only big thing out of that was the return of Braun Strowman onto Raw. Otherwise, it just told everybody, hey, I'm qualifying for King of the Ring. No, I'm going to qualify. No, I'm going to qualify. No, I'm going to qualify for Queen of the Ring. All right. So fast forward now to Backlash in a with a chaotic crowd in Lyons, France, which was also SmackDown. Amazing crowds. Alarms going off because of all the noise. The matches were pretty damn good, including a Cody cutter from the top rope, which had everybody going, holy shit. The return of a guerrilla warfare, which was destined to happen, if you got the pun from Corey Graves, with
No. What do you say?
No, basically he used the guerrilla warfare and the destruction is because Tama Tonga and Tongaloa are originally known in New Japan as the Gorillas of Destiny.
Oh.
Forefathers of the Bullet Club, with Finn Balor and even AJ Styles. So, but in all honesty, and now they're also saying that Solo is the new face of the Bloodline, with Paul Heyman going,
Yeah, no one. If they were listening to the audio, they can't see you.
You shaking the finger.
yes, I'm shaking my finger.
Trembling, giving the ones up salute.
I have all the respect in the world for Paul Heyman.
He's a genius and all. I'll give him that. He's been around, but the
I
thing
don't
is,
like what they're doing with him in WWE.
Now with this gimmick, because Roman's taking his vacation, which he needs.
Well, he's not taking a vacation. He's doing a movie. Mm-hmm. It's like he's branching out the same way The Rock did, same way Cena did. It's just
which is fine, but just going back to Paul Heyman, this is a man who took pretty much an independent wrestling company and scared the shit out of the top two at the time, WWF and WCW. He scared the shit out of them.
But he also has been a guy who's been able to predict who should really be top tier talent.
Right. Yeah. And I just don't, if Heyman is fine with it, fine. But I just don't like the way they're making him, his character on TV. I just give the man a little more respect on screen.
We also found out this week that the WWE has let go of a multi-million-dollar contracted wrestler who barely got time on TV and premium live events. One, U.S. Olympian Gable Stevenson, which was a waste of time Stevenson. He only had one match, and that was at the Great American Bash with Baron Corbin, really. And he had dark matches on SmackDown.
Yeah, they've done their financial cuts again.
Yeah,
and they didn't re-sign Jerry
6.
Lawler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
But in all due respect, coming up with the King of the Ring now, it's going to look pretty good. And we might even, with the 2 dark matches at the live events this weekend of Selena Vega and Shayna Baszler and Rey Mysterio, Kofi Kingston, we'll also see we're going to see a new King of the Ring, which everybody's looking to see, either predicting Gunther. But for the female side, we might see definitely a new female, a Queen of the Ring, because with Baszler, I don't think you're going to get that far with everything. So, but that's it on the report.
All right. I don't really have a lot anime-wise because right now some of the stuff that I talked about has kind of been left off to the lurch. And I didn't even get a new episode of Go-Go Loser Ranger. The biggest news, really, anime-wise, was the fact that Disney, not knowing how to handle their anime, has actually reached out to the studios that they're licensing stuff from to ask them for censored versions of the anime. And I have to say, if you're going to get into the anime genre alone, anime is not cartoons for kids the way most Americans think it is. And it's a wide range for everyone. There have been censored versions of things that have come out in the past.
Voltron?
No. I'm talking there's more stuff that's adult orientated, and they've censored it, not by U.S. censors. just like the Japanese put out, like, oh, this one's the TV friendly, and then this is more like...
This isn't.
Yeah.
Yep.
And where it's like, oh, this little innuendo, or, you know, we gave a little extra fan service. Yeah, it's been covered. Now it's not. Nobody wants to see the censored versions of stuff anyway. But they want to now stick their nose into an industry that they don't understand. It's bad enough that they're not even subtitling their own stuff on Disney Plus and Hulu. You have to turn the closed captioning on. So you have to rely on the closed captioning. The closed captioning off of websites doesn't work. It works pretty well when you use like the TV version, but if you're using like the website for Hulu, it is terrible. Sometimes it doesn't sync up at all. You're like, it'll keep going after it's been blank for a while, and you don't even see. So you've got no clue what's going on.
That's just
Now, I've supported Disney on a lot of their ventures. They've made mistakes. I've forgiven a bunch of stuff when it came to Marvel, and even some stuff that I disagreed with Star Wars. But anime is where I'm drawing the line when it comes to Disney, and it really breaks down to Disney needs to understand the properties that they're going to buy into, and they need to actually not go and try to get too big for their britches, because you want to lock everybody else out. Try creating your own original anime. Get the studios to do their version of something the same way like Netflix has their own Netflix original stuff. 7 Deadly Sins on Netflix started off really strong. The animation quality took a major hit as each season progressively went down. It wasn't a bad show. It was just bad animation. But it took me for Baki. I watched the original Baki the Grappler. That was older animation, and it was great. Netflix got it. It started looking too weird, CG almost, cell shaded, and they kind of fixed it. But it's one of those things where you either get used to a style but they're still letting the studios do it. They're not going, oh, we need you to make it censored for us. That's where they're just losing their own audience. They're blocking off people being able to see things. And because they didn't advertise any of their stuff, you have some anime that they're not even getting an English dub version, that people watch the English dub version of 2 seasons because, oh, season 2 didn't do well because you didn't promote it.
Right.
I know I'm some schlub that Disney's not even going to listen to, but if enough people complain, maybe they'll get the hint.
Don't hold your breath.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to try whatever they're going to try, but it's like, if you want the money, I get it, but you're not going to get the money from anime fans when they're not even going to know. Like, people didn't know Go-Go Loser Ranger is on Disney Plus and Netflix and Hulu. If you didn't see that it was there because you're scrolling through or you're reading up on the news of where to find it, you're not going to know. You'll have a better idea of knowing what's on Netflix than you will on what's on Disney Plus anime-wise.
Peacock.
Yeah, but Disney Plus has anime that they want censored, and it's like, you have High School of the Dead, one of the most mature zombie-related with ridiculous booby physics I've ever seen. Like, they literally go and they fire a gun while it's going, and the bullet travels in between the boobs as they're moving. And it's like, it alters bullet time with boob movement.
Booby time.
Yeah, it really was something. It was a sight to behold. I got to say it, but it's one of those things where, they do a good job with stuff, but we want censored. You can't censor something like that.
No, you can't.
It's not designed to be censored.
Right. It'll lose its meaning. It'll lose its punch.
Exactly. So, and that's where I kind of fall when it comes to it right now, because Disney was the biggest news to come out of anime. So, I mean, people, if you want to get these anime seen, like, you actually have to go on Disney Plus and actually watch the stuff. Hunt and see what they have, because unfortunately I have a feeling they're going to trash Bleach because they don't know what they're doing. So let's keep the stuff that we're enjoying with actually watching it.
Right.
So we've had a crazy time. I want to wait to touch on X-Men 97 for a little bit because I want to hit Fallout. So we're going to wrap it up because we did up to episode 4. So let's wind down the rest of Fallout. So from episode 5 on.
Okay.
So, Jimmy, what did you think going forward? Because we're not going to go into like all the intricacies. There's too much to explore.
Right.
Like this is something like
We would need just a whole episode just on Fallout.
we would need an episode for each episode of Fallout.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is why we're just going to go over.
Plain, sweet, and simple.
Yeah,
I'll tell you this.
We're going to give our opinions and things that really stuck out for us.
Even
So-
spoiler alerts. Sorry,
exactly.
folks.
Yep. Well, listen, it's been out now for
Yeah.
at least a month.
Yep.
So
If you haven't seen it,
You're on your
you're
own.
nuts.
if you've missed this, you have a problem. So Jimmy, now take us away with your initial thoughts from episode 5 on.
5 on, I'll tell you this. Mind blowing. Really, really shocking how it ends, how it culminates to the ending and where they're going and why we need this head.
What does everybody want?
What does everybody need?
But
Thank you, Al Snow.
With it, yes. I enjoyed it. Moving on to where they're going into next season, whether it's in section 33, section
Vault.
31, the vaults.
Vault 33, Vault 32, Vault 31. Those are the only jointed vaults because all the others are separate. And when you find out that they're all bizarre, like,
You'll be like,
yeah, I mean, we got to see inside another vault.
Vault 12.
Oh, yeah, there was a lot of weird experiments in Vault 12.
Yeah, when we saw a Cyclops, I was like, the fuck?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Which I got to say, I love the fact that the actor that had just the single eye is the actor who is the voice of Jerry Smith on Rick and Morty.
That's fair.
So that's Jerry. I was like, oh, that is so Jerry.
And now the ending with the ending of it, climactic. It's like you want to watch, you want to wait and see for season 2. You have to call Amazon like, yeah, get me season 2 now.
Well, we know it's getting a season 2,
Yeah.
thankfully. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we really went through with this season. You know, I like the fact the way they did the flashbacks going back and forth. So you find out the Ghoul's backstory.
Yep.
Yeah.
And now I know, Mike, you wanted to know more if they were going to show like the backstories and you were going to find out about the characters. And I think they did a pretty good job with going back. And I have to say, going back in the past, seeing the asshole executive
Yes.
and finding out he then is basically a brain on top of a Roomba.
Crank.
Yeah.
Frank.
I really felt like it was a Roomba where, like,
It probably was.
yeah, it was the 70s idea of what a Roomba would be. We
Yeah.
put a brain on top of a Roomba. It really was just that. It was ridiculous, but I also love the fact that the father, Lucy's father, is portrayed.
You mean Goosey?
Yeah, Goosey.
Goosey.
Yeah, nah, Lucy really was like her character arc has been great so far,
Yeah.
and
I like how they made her from like the naive
yeah,
little vault dweller to, okay, this is what it's like in the real world now. Screw you guys.
yeah, and the thing is, like, her father, like the twists with her father, and knowing that he's the same actor from Twin Peaks.
Yep.
I'm like, I almost want him like asking for like donuts or like some coffee.
I'm sure eventually that they played like tricks or something like that on them, or
Yeah,
you see like a little behind the scenes or deleted scene or whatever, like donuts, like what? Just like looking at it.
yeah. It's one of those. It's one of those things where it's like, but it's like that the actors they've got for this have been great.
Yep.
I like the look of like all the power armors. So like they've done a pretty good job with like really making that world feel fleshed out.
Yep.
So Mike, what were your thoughts?
I really enjoyed it. Coming from somebody who hasn't played the game, didn't really go in with any expectations. Only thing I was a little confused about when they did the flashback with the ghoul, and everything. Was that supposed to take place? Because in the first episode,
Yep.
you saw them dropping the bomb.
Yep.
Okay. So now everything you see with the ghoul in the flashback, is that before the bomb drop?
Yep.
Or
Yep.
All of those flashbacks are before the bomb drops.
Okay.
And then you see who really dropped the bomb.
Because you're basically seeing why at the very beginning of the first episode, where before he becomes the ghoul, he's basically going and why he's no longer the famous actor that he was, and he's reduced to kids' birthday parties.
right.
And now you're seeing like, oh, because if you
Bless you.
one of those things that I like that they did happened to be
Two times.
Gesundheit.
Okay, thank you.
That's why I waited. I
Yeah.
wasn't gonna do. I'm like, I always wait for the second but no. So it's like you're seeing the character as he's progressing, and it's like he starts off as a famous actor, and then it starts pulling back where now he's advertising for Vault Tech,
Right.
And none of the actors or anybody
wanna be
wants to
around.
work with him,
Right.
Because he's a corporate shill that they don't trust. Meanwhile, he fought communism, I guess, in like a power armor war before that. So it's like he's a veteran.
I got the whole like Roy Cohen vibe when they did the flashback.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on with the back. And it did play a lot into like the communist fear, the Red Scare, and anybody who studied like film, which like Jimmy and I did. I know Mike, you took a few classes, but like knowing about like the Hays Code and everything, them trying to like, oh no, you can't be. It's like, oh, we got to make sure you're not a communist.
Right.
Yeah.
So the Red Scare, like they played a great job in playing that up
Yep.
with everything.
Yeah, but I really enjoyed it. Excuse me.
Yep.
I like how when Titus went to the vault and he was kind of getting sucked in with everything. And he's like, what do you mean a hot shower? Like, what's that? And he's just sitting there eating popcorn and she's getting dragged away in front of him. And he's like, okay, I'm going to go save her, but I'm going to have more popcorn first.
Yeah.
And then just like, and at the end, okay, I thought they were going to kill Lucy. We're going to banish you to the surface world. You going to do what now?
Yeah.
Here are 2 weeks' supplies. Really? Yes, don't worry. We'll have somebody carry it up for you. What? And then you have Titus come out. I'm going to save you.
Oh,
No,
Maximus?
asshole, no.
No, let them. They're just kicking me out. That's
Yeah.
it.
Stop it. And it's like little moments like that. You're like, huh? And honestly, I didn't know what to expect when I first watched the show. I was like, okay, having 3 different main characters like that, doing their own separate story, I was like, okay, this could get confusing. You might want to see more one than the other, but I think they balanced it out really, really well. Didn't see the twist at the end coming with the father being the head of the Voltec.
Well, he's not the head.
Well, he's one of.
yeah, he's one of their
He's one of.
lead management.
Right. Didn't see that coming. But all in all, I enjoyed it. I'd give it a solid 7, and I'll see what the season 2 brings about.
Yeah. Oh, my overall, like, if I got to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm giving it a 9. Mm-hmm. Amazon's done a pretty good job with like some of the shows that they've done, and this is one of them up there that I definitely have to give it its credence.
And keeping Walton Goggins under their Amazon.
Oh yeah,
contract.
Walter Goggins is a treasure for them.
Yeah.
Did you see the? He did a.
He's,
He did a little video.
he's done a lot of them. Like
The last one that I saw like recently. He held like a book in his hand, and he's like, "Did you know it takes 17 muscles to smile and 42 muscles in your face to frown?" He goes, "So being an asshole is a better workout." And then he just like, scowls at the camera.
yeah, and there was that moment like during Fallout though, you can actually see like there's a commercial
Yeah.
from him for Vault Tech, and you can read the number. You can call it, you can text it, you get it's like the fun little Easter eggs they
Right.
slapped in there.
They did the same thing with Ghostbusters when it first came out.
Oh yeah. And now like the thing that one thing I do want to touch on is Amazon, their boys like section, they put out because the boys is going to be coming out in June for their 4th season. But May they were supposed to start filming season 2 of Gen V.
Okay.
They're redoing it after they have to retool some of it because they're not going to replace the actor who passed away in a motorcycle accident. I don't want to mess up the name or anything, and I don't want to take the time to look it up at this moment. So it was a tragedy when it happened. Was a great actor, big key point in the show. So they're going to have to change some of the story beats to figure it out because they're not going to replace him.
Which is smart.
It's smart, but at the same time, it also made me remember from a show back in the 90s. I don't know if you guys remember Vampire the Masquerade.
Nope.
No.
So the game Vampire the Masquerade, they decided to do a show based off of it, and it was Kindred the Embraced. It only had one season, but it followed a lot of the rules from Vampire the Masquerade, where it was like the characters were different vampire clans, so each one had a different style to them, and it was a great show. They did a great job with it. Unfortunately, the lead actor had died, I believe, in a motorcycle accident, the same way that the actor from The Boys has passed away. So with the motorcycle accident happening, they just decided they weren't going to even recast. They weren't going to change like story beats or anything. They just ended the show.
Well, they did the same thing with Spartacus.
Yeah.
When it was on Showtime, the lead actor got really sick and passed away. So they decided we're going to continue with the show, but we're not going to recast him. So they kind of went back, kind of called like origin stories.
Yeah.
And then when he brought it up to the last season when the main actor passed away, the whole big battle at the end, everybody was like, I am Spartacus.
Yeah.
Which was cool.
Yeah, so I mean, they've made changes for shows and stuff like this in the past, so there's a history. I think they're finally figuring out, like, kind of how to balance it without canceling a show.
Yeah.
Because Kindred the Embrace gets canceled. The Boys, they're retooling.
Right.
So
Well, you also figure now, when Kindred the Embraced came out, shows didn't get as much money as they're getting now.
Yeah.
And you could go back and retool.
and it was also week to week
And
back
it was
then.
week to week back then. But now you can go back and retool it if you had a tragedy in the cast, as opposed to, okay, we're just going to recast this character.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like also, what was it, with the show, there was a show called Cover Up with Jennifer O'Neill, Richard Anderson, if you remember him as Oscar Goldman on the original $6 Million Man. And originally it starred John Eric Hexman, who you remember from Voyages, with Mino Pelusi. They used to carry a little compass, and it would be, if it was red...
I'm sorry, you got three Gen Xers sitting at this table, and two of us are looking at you like, what the fuck?
This is back in the 80s. John Eric Hexman died...
And apparently I was still too young because this wasn't on my radar.
He died of a suicide. He thought putting a gun to his head that had blanks in it wouldn't do anything, and it knocked the crap out of his skull. They scrapped him and put in a guy by the name of Anthony Hamilton for his character. They thought back then, oh yeah, that'll work. And it didn't. The show ended after one season.
Yeah, well, that's like 2.5 Men. I was amazed after Charlie Sheen left.
They lasted 2 seasons.
And they were 2 terrible seasons. It relied on so many guest stars popping up.
Schwarzenegger.
Oh, not even just that. It was like all the rotation of all the females that came in, bringing in Charlie's daughter.
Lesbian daughter.
Yeah, it was like they just kept going, and it was just like, ugh.
That's just because Chuck Lorre didn't want to give in and say, yes, we have no show without Charlie Sheen.
Yeah. It is what it is. But yeah, now we got to hit our holy shit of this episode, because we've had a couple of great episodes of X-Men 97.
And before we get into it, I don't understand why people are saying this show sucks, or like the ratings aren't what they should be, and they're comparing it to like Ms. Marvel and everything else.
Well, the
like,
thing,
this is great.
That.
First off, we don't know what the ratings are because Disney's not telling us what the ratings are. And this is picking up on a nostalgia train.
Yeah.
You figure the first half of this season has been, we started off with getting everyone the feel of the old show. So you felt like the old classic, like I want to sit on the couch watching it with a bowl of cereal.
Yeah.
It feels like a Saturday morning cartoon. And
I like the fact that there's no CG in it. It's all old school.
Yeah.
although I do kind of wish they would have kept some of the older style because it looks a little too clean. But then again, you know, I can also be a little biased because I can still remember watching it on like the older TVs that it wasn't 4K or HDMI. you know, you were using the rabbit ears.
Yep.
You know, you had the antenna. You're like and if you didn't get a chance to watch it that day,
You had to wait until the season was over and pray to God you didn't miss it the second time.
or you had a VCR and
Yep.
you were and hope nobody else wanted to record something else at the same time.
That's what I did for the first like 2 seasons of X-Men when it came out originally. I popped in a blank VHS tape and I recorded every episode, and I gave the Dark Phoenix Saga its own special cassette.
Well, yeah, you bought like the 8-hour VHS
8
cassette.
hour, and you make sure you put it on
EP.
EP, so you get like 12 hours out of it.
Yeah, you wanted on the
The
longest,
longest one.
to get the full 8 hours. So the
Yeah.
quality sucked, but
Hey, you know what? I could pop that shit and run right now and watch the original Dark Phoenix Saga.
exactly. So, I mean, any criticisms, like my biggest criticism was they nerfed Rogue's ass.
Yeah.
Like, Rogue doesn't have the curves that she did. Otherwise, it's like, that's my only criticism. And if that's my only real criticism, then clearly they're doing something right.
Yep.
So now, these last couple episodes have been insane.
Leading up to something huge.
Very
Yeah.
huge.
And when we left off, it was like, you know, we just saw, like, oh, here's, like, Bastion doing his thing. Rogue just dropped, like, what's his name, off of the balcony and stuff.
Gyrick.
Gyrick. Now it's like,
And you heard the splat.
yeah, and it was a splat, but then he gets back up
Because-
because he's a sentinel. It's like we go and like then we follow it up with seeing Magneto being held captive, and they made sure they showed the tattoo from Auschwitz. It really was like you felt it, like
Yeah.
everyone was getting hit, tragedy after tragedy, and all of these people that were just innocent people were turned into like these crazy sentinels.
When I saw that with the tattoo on the arm, I was like, wow, this just went dark.
And yeah, basically it did. This show went dark.
Well, that's the thing. Like they want, I get it. You want to change some of the elements to the X-Men, but Magneto, one of the biggest elements of his character is that he was a survivor from the Holocaust. And it's one of those things, seeing like they even put the tattoo on him now. It's like, even if you can say he ages slower because of his power, Wolverine ages slower than everybody because of his powers. But it's like, this was like a key moment. And when the president is standing there and she's like, Magneto was right.
Yep.
You were like, whoa. And then he lets off an EMP.
He goes to the poles and blows them up.
He just turns off all tech. All of those sentinels, although Bastion still gets to keep moving around.
Well, he needed a big bad. You know, he couldn't be taken out that easily.
Yeah, but it was like everybody went, and it's like, of course, Professor X shows up at that last moment, a little too late. I hope I'm not too late.
Yeah.
No, you were too late.
Sorry,
late.
Charles.
It's like, Charles, you're the reason this is all fucked up.
Yeah.
And then we move on to the next episode, which was true.
Retaliation.
Oh,
It was action from opening credits to the end credits.
but there was also like real dramatic key moments. I mean, seeing Scott and Jean talking to Xavier, and Xavier's in the old wheelchair. He's not even in the gold wheelchair.
yeah, because they saw they got destroyed.
Yeah. Well, he had it later on in the episode, but he's inside the old wheelchair talking to 2 of his original students. And they are looking at him like, you left us.
You asshole.
And this all happened because you put Magneto in charge. And it's like a parent and a child having that conversation over how they grew up and like why they raised them a certain way and trying to give them an opportunity. It just was like, you felt
I kind of
all
got
the
the
emotion.
Feeling, I got the feeling it was kind of like, you know, mommy and daddy split, and why'd you make me go live with daddy when I wanted to live here?
Yeah.
kind of, but at the same time, it was Scott was like in such a rage. He was upset that he gave Magneto in charge in the first place. And I think they did a great job with what they've done because of the fact that we had to sit there and see Magneto. Like, in charge.
Yep.
And I mean, you still see, like, because they show in the old, like, trying to copy the original beginning. You still see Magneto with the Brotherhood of Mutants. And it's like, where are some of these guys? We haven't seen any of them, really.
Yeah.
But Magneto recreating Asteroid M,
Yeah.
which was technically destroyed towards the end. What was it in the original series?
Yes. Was it season 2?
Yeah, because they did Asteroid M. It was like, this has gone nuts. And now we're going to definitely hit spoilers right now because I have to talk about it. Shit was literally ripped out of the comics. Let's start with the costumes. Come on, we got to start with the costumes.
Yeah, I was going to say, I like how they went back to the original costume.
Yeah. Like
Wolverine with the brown suit, the Ms. Marvel costume.
Yeah, Jean is wearing the Marvel Girl costume.
Yeah, Marvel Girl.
Cyclops in the full
headgear.
And even Storm went back to her first appearance black costume.
Speaking of costume, did you catch the little nod they made to the 2000 X-Men movie?
Yep, Scott giving Cable
his costume.
an actual X-Men suit, and he's like, "What is this?"
We got outside in this, and he goes, "Well, you prefer black leather?"
Yeah, which the reverse of the X-Men movie, where Wolverine is like, "This." It's like,
you will go out in this. He goes, "What do you prefer, yellow spandex?"
What do you think? Yellow spandex. It's like, it really was one of those moments where it was like, it was a great nod.
Yeah, and it was kind of just threw in there just for levity. If you picked it up on it, it was awesome. If you didn't, it would be like, okay, yeah.
But those costumes though looked amazing. Seeing Forge in his X-Men costume, Sunspot is in his first New Mutants costume. It really was one of those things. I mean, and I like the update to Jubilee's costume.
Yellow
jacket with a full black outfit.
I like Rogue going back to her evil Brotherhood.
Yep. But she was wearing Gambit's jacket.
Yep.
So she's got Gambit's trench coat on. It was one of those things where you felt it. The costumes made it feel real, but then they literally ripped it right out of the comics. Yep. Wolverine coming up behind Magneto, stabbing him with his claws.
Yep.
And Magneto...
It was like, thank you, now I can go return the favor.
And he...
Yep.
The panel looks exactly like the comic panel.
Yep.
Seeing Magneto ripping the adamantium out of Wolverine's skeleton.
Yep.
If they go where they went in the comics with that, this is going to be another mutation for Wolverine.
Well, I was reading up about that, and they said after he had the adamantium ripped out of him,
he went feral.
And like the end, like his healing factor, trying to cope with the adamantium, kind of kept him sane a little bit. But it was a gradual transformation. He went more feral until he got the adamantium back.
Yeah. I mean, at one point, though, I think in the comics, he was in a bucket.
Yep.
So, because he lost his skeleton.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they touched everything up to that point. I mean, you went from even episode 1 talking about, like I've said, that's Infernal. Everybody forgets what Infernal was until you see its Cable infected with the virus.
Yep.
And then you see Bastion. Then you go into, he talks about X-Men Gold will be...
Mm-hmm.
Cyclops,
team and the blue
then
team.
Blue Team.
Yeah, the fact that they went back to splitting the teams was...
fine.
Yeah, I like the fact because the thing was, though, wasn't Wolverine on every team?
Yeah, Wolverine was everywhere.
Yeah, it's like, oh, yeah, well, we can't do an X-Men comic without Wolverine, so Wolverine was in each iteration of the team.
Any X-Men.
He was in all of them, and you're just like, really? Like, how is he's on blue team and gold team at the same time, 2 separate missions going on, but Wolverine is there for all of it.
It was the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, this was like, I don't know how you guys took it, but I almost wish I would have been recording my reaction.
Holy shit.
Because I was up at 3 o'clock in the morning watching. I waited till like 3:15. The episode 9 is airing, and I'm sitting there watching this. It got to the last moment, and I'm like, I jumped up. Like, what the fuck? It really was like
a holy shit moment. I sat up. I was leaning back in the chair, and I sat up. I was like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah, this just got real.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I just like how like Magneto went. Like he said, "Thank you," because now I get to fuck you up.
Yeah, it was like, "Whoa, Logan, I've been waiting for this."
Like he gave him the excuse to, because he knew he could have done it.
Yeah.
He could have done it whenever he wanted to.
And the fact that Rogue went with Magneto and
Yep.
so did Sunspot, which you kind of understand where they were coming from. Rogue's in a
Yeah.
real place of grief with Gambit dying. And
Which I still think they'll bring him back. You can't leave him dead.
you know what? We never know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
I mean, they brought him back in the comics like at a different point.
He was dead in the comics.
He's had like so many different things happen to him. His story's all over the place. But I know like Wolverine, to get his in the comics, to get his adamantium back, he actually goes to Apocalypse and becomes one of his horsemen.
He had to fight Sabretooth to become the new Horseman of Death.
Yeah.
And Apocalypse gave him back the adamantium.
Yeah, which it's like, really? Like, this shit is insane. So it's like, I don't want to see feral Wolverine because it's
I wouldn't mind.
It's 290s. It's literally 290s. Because now I'm going to say it, and I don't know if you guys remember, there was a comic book company that Marvel bought out, Malibu Ultraverse.
Yes.
Yep.
I loved Malibu Ultraverse.
Gen 13.
No, that was a different company.
I thought it was Malibu.
No.
No.
What was it? I think they were Image. So Gen 13 was Image, which there was an animated movie that we never got in the U.S. I have it on as a bootleg, and Mark Hamill is the voice of one of the characters in there.
Of course, yeah.
It was like I think it was like European or like Australian. It was phenomenal, that Gen 13 movie. But you had teams like the Strangers. You had Hard Case, Prime, which was like a Superman Shazam ripoff.
Yeah.
But it's like it's a kid doing it, but the suit is like body could change. If he powered up, he would become Rogue Prime, which made him look more like a biker Thor. And they even had the cartoon show in the 90s where everybody looked like they were on massive amounts of steroids.
Here's some of their. I pulled it up. We have Airman, Arrow, Dead Clown, Dinosaurs for Hire, which I actually remember, X Mutants, The Ferret, Genesis Gravestone, The Malibu Sun, Man of War, Protectors.
Yes.
The all new.
This is Malibu Ultraverse?
This is Malibu.
This is now going into the Ultraverse.
Yeah, I'm just talking Ultraverse.
Okay, then we have the all new Exiles, Black September, Breakthrough, Codename Firearm, Eliminator 11, Exiles, Firearm, Free X, Godwheel, Hardcastle, Hostile Takeover, Lord Pumpkin, Mantra, The Nightman.
Mantra was amazing.
Wasn't The Nightman?
Yes, they did a TV show of that where he had what was it, a Panzer car, and he was a saxophone player.
I remember seeing commercials for it. I never got a chance to see it.
Yep, I saw
Strangers, Ultraverse, Ultra Force, The Wraith, War Strike, and Year Zero.
And Ultra Force was a cartoon show.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yes, it was on like Sundays on UPN.
Yeah.
At least here on the East Coast. So you had like, they took a bunch of their characters and turned them into like their version of the Avengers. So you had Hard Case, Prototype, Prime, and I forget who else was on the team. Like Lord Pumpkin was one of the villains. Godwheel was actually like in the comics, it was a short little crossover with like a bunch of the different characters going to Asgard, and all the Asgardians are gone. Like they're on the Rainbow Bridge. They mentioned Thor, they mentioned Odin, but this was before Marvel bought them out. Marvel bought them. There was a few crossovers with some of the characters, and they disappeared.
Yeah.
The last time there was even a mention was during the incursions at the last Secret War before they formed Battleworld. So there was like, you saw like one thing of like the Ultraverse heroes, and that was it. And I feel like there's missed opportunity. It was very 90s, but some of those characters would work really well today.
Yeah.
And I mean, Mantra was great. That was one of my all-time favorites. But Prime, the first issue of Prime, you got this guy running around like stopping wars, bending a tank's like turret and everything. He shows up at a high school and confronts a gym teacher who is molesting the female students. He grabs the teacher by the arm, lifts him up in the air. The teacher kicks him in the balls, and he just pulls his arm a little bit, and you see the bone go right through.
Yeah.
So it's like he broke the gym teacher's arm for molesting students.
That's what you should do.
And then you find out at the very end that he's a kid because one of the students that was getting molested was a friend of his.
How Shazam of him.
I know. But it was all, but you figure it's like, it's a kid in that gets superpowers, but it's like when he comes out of it, it's like the suit basically turns into like this gelatinous thing that it's like he rips himself out of, and the last panel is him like throwing up because it's like you were just inside this like chemical wash. You would think kind of like the Matrix when they come out of the thing, it's like they throw up. Yeah, so I mean they were all over the place. Now before we hit a couple other things, I want to take a moment because we're going to go on location as I talk to one of Bridgerton fans, one of the biggest fans that I know. And we're going to go over a recap of Bridgerton because season 3 is coming out on Netflix this upcoming week.
All right.
I might just come on like that. I did. It came on like that.
So, all right. Well, the Dragoon Slayer podcast is going to talk about Bridgerton, branching out a little bit. So we wanted to get everyone ready for season 3. So we brought on our favorite Bridgerton expert, Danielle Maravet Hernandez. So, as a dramatic retelling of what you need to know before you watch Bridgerton season 3, and you should, according to her. So,
I'm going to take it away. Why you should watch Bridgerton season 3? Well, here's a question. 1, do you love beautiful costumes? 2, do you love love stories? 3, do you love the combination of the two with an element of spice? Because that's what we're about to talk about. Bridgerton is based on the romance novels based on Julia Quinn's writing, and the first chapter and the first season is based on The Duke and I. And because these are romance novels, spicy is not the only word I would apply. I would say intentionally explicit, lots of fun to read, and the purpose of a romance novel, to take us just beyond happily ever after. So here we go, book 1, The Duke and I. You're going to meet the Bridgerton family. All of the siblings are named in ABC order, but we're meeting Dee, Daphne, the eldest. She's coming out. She is named as the Diamond by the Queen, who doesn't show up in the books at all, but that's okay. We're talking about the series. Her only job? Find the perfect match. That means someone who matches her rank. Her brother's a Viscount, she's the daughter of a Viscount. 2, someone who offers a great location. And 3, someone with no scandal. Now we're gonna meet Simon Bassett. Simon Bassett, he is a duke. And Simon Bassett, he has trauma, and he has decided to never marry, never have children. He swore on his father's deathbed, I will never sire an heir. Just like that. He used a demon voice. But he's going to meet Daphne, and he's going to change his tune. The thing is, he is friends with her brother Anthony. He knows, by he, I mean Anthony. Anthony knows that Simon's a bit of a playboy, and he's like, just don't mess around with my sister. And Anthony is all like, I would never mess around with your sister. I have no plans to, make a proper lady out of anyone. Well, shenanigans will ensue. Anthony in the series is not taking his role as her eldest brother and therefore protector seriously. He's too busy having an affair with an opera singer who is a secret and scandalous, but he's also a Viscount, so it's okay. What happens is Simon and Daphne find each other in a dark garden after she's knocked the lights out of a guy who tried to take advantage of her, and he decides to help her find the match she needs to make. We will fake a relationship, because the entire time this has been going on, there has been Lady Whistledown, who's been publishing papers, printing the names of very public scandals. How is this happening? It's a mystery all throughout the show. So the scandal with Antony is he doesn't want the responsibility and he's having an affair with an opera singer. The scandal with Daphne is her job is to wed, but Lady Whistledown dragged down her reputation, so she went from diamond to dust real fast. And Simon's just out there trying to get laid, but not married. But he says, because I'm a duke and you are the diamond, if we flirt and go in public lots, people will think we're getting together. And they do. And, oh, in the series, there's a prince. In the book, there's no prince. He's not there. The prince becomes a love interest. It's not going to happen. He doesn't exist in the books. The fake relationship works. The fake relationship leads to a real marriage after they are caught in a garden, scandalously fooling around. You see nipple in the book, not in the show. Yeah. Dramatic retelling. It's just going to include lots of where you can find nipples. I did not write out stamps or time codes for this. You do that.
I'm sure someone did.
I'm sure someone has and will continue to do so.
Yes, it is the internet.
Yes. Because Antony discovers them in the garden, he insists you must get married. And Simon's all like, I can't. And so instead, they have a duel, which I didn't even mention last time. They have a duel, but Daphne was seen in the garden, and if Simon doesn't marry her, her reputation is destroyed, and she will be a thrown away woman. Life is so dramatic. So Simon tells her, I can marry you, but we can never have children. And Daphne has a large family. She's always wanted to provide a large family. This is the only thing in the world that she is brought up to do. This is devastating. But she's like, I'm gonna marry you because I love you. Let's go. It's fine. Later on, she finds out when he said, I can't have children, and what he meant was, I won't have children because of this grudge I have with my father that I'm never going to tell you about. Except she's going to find out. She's going to read his letters, and then she's going to be like, I had no idea. Simon had a speaking problem. But they get back together. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. After, before it's going to be fine, though, there is this time where he and she get together, and she has now learned how to get pregnant, and so she rolls over on top and she holds him down and she keeps him there until she gets what she wants. Consent is important, folks. Talk to your partners. But this is the 1800s. Consent doesn't matter in the 1800s. That is not okay. It did. It mattered. It's just people are very abusive. In the book, he was drunk. It made it so much worse. It was not great. I was actually impressed with how they chose to go with it in the series. Okay. They're going to have a fight. And then they're going to get back together. And it will be fine. And guess what? They have a baby. Oh, yay. She's very happy. He gets over his grudge. And their family continues to grow through all the books. But the actor left the show, so you will not see their family continue to grow. Instead, we're going to move on to season 2, book 2, which is completely different from the first book. I said I was going to bullet point this version. This is the bullet point. Here we go. Book 2, Antony. Antony has this obsession with dying because his father died young. He was 18 when his father died, at about 36 by a bee sting. He was stung by a bee and now he's dead. How does that happen? So he's almost as old as his father was when his father kicked it. And he's determined that he's going to die at the same time. So what's the point of falling in love? I won't fall in love. Instead, I will make this marriage very businesslike. And so he's interviewing all of the women. And of course, we're going to meet Kate and her sister, Edwina. I had to take a moment to sigh there because Kate and Edwina are the correct names of the siblings, but in the book, they are British. They are the Sheffields. And in the series, they're from India and they are the Sharmas. And they have come back to England because her mother was kicked out by the family and has been brought back. They were like, hey, we see Edwina is on the market for marriage because Edwina is her biological daughter and Kate is the daughter from the man she ran away with. So her family doesn't recognize Kate. It's very sad. Very
scandalous.
Tragic. Very scandalous. They kicked her out. But Kate and Antony, when they meet, hate each other very much so. They don't get along. And then when Kate finds out that Antony is the one who's trying to get with Edwina, she makes it her personal mission to make sure they will never get together. So Edwina is like, sister, I love you. Please spend more time with this man that I think I want to marry. He seems great. I think I'm falling for him. And Kate is like, that's the last thing I want to do. I hate this man. I hate him so much. I think I'll fall in love with him instead. And that's exactly what happens. But in the series, it continues on. It continues to the point where there's a wedding and there's a wedding day, and on the altar is when Edwina realizes Anthony and Kate have something going on, and she calls off this wedding. She calls it off. Meanwhile, subplots are going on. Lady Whistledown continues to destroy reputations. The rest of the Bridgertons continue to have their own plots that I can't tell you about if you want this to be concise. What you need to know is the Featherington family exist. I didn't even mention them yet. They're going to be so important. And that Lady Whistledown was revealed at the end of at the end of season 1, not book 1. Why would they do that in book 1? No. It was revealed to be Penelope Feathering, the youngest, quietest, most overlooked character in the season. And in this, we discover that Lady Whistledown has revealed what's going on in the Bridgerton family, but particularly with Eloise. Eloise has been sneaking away, going to political meetings and book parties, learning, putting knowledge in her brain. They don't like that because it's also very dangerous. The neighborhoods that she's going to alone, don't do that. But she did that. And so the wedding does not go through. There's a huge scandal. The two families decide, let's throw a ball. Let's pretend that we are totally fine with what just happened. But nobody comes to this ball because Lady Whistledown has posted about Eloise going out, and it has dragged down the entire Bridgerton family. And entirely Eloise. There's also the entire business of how Lady Whistledown works. She's working through the wardrobe people. She's working through the bookstore. She is lying to her best friend a lot, but then using things that comes up in conversation in her writing. It's very conflicting. But let's go back to Anthony and Edwina. Edwina was really in love with him in the series. In the book, she could not care less. She was actually in love with somebody else, and she was very happy when she did not have to marry him. Yes, that guy does not exist in the series, though.
Oh, my.
It's okay. The prince exists, and people are like, oh, I hope Edwina gets with the prince. Yes. So what you have here instead is Kate saying, I'm going to go back to India. Anthony saying, you can't go back to India. Kate saying, I'm going back to India. Me going, how many times are we going to say India? And for the rest of the episode, that's what we're going to do. We're just going to keep saying India. But she won't be going back because Anthony insists he's going to declare his love for her publicly. It's going to happen, but not before a bit more conflict, a thunderstorm. She's going to get thrown from a horse. She's going to almost die so that Anthony can be like, oh, that face you just made, that's what Anthony did in his heart. His heart was like, what am I doing? I knew I loved her, but I was afraid of love. But once he made that discovery, he decided going towards that fear and having her so much more important than having her go back to India. And so they get married and it's fine. Everything is great. Complete deviation. The book was so hard for me to read. I don't like enemies to lovers. They really hated each other. And in the book, he sees that she is stung by a bee. And then because he remembers how his father was stung by the bee, he decides, actually, he doesn't even decide. He reacts. He's like, that bee stung your chest. Gotta get the poison out of your chest with my mouth. And then they were discovered. So they were forced to get married very early on in the book while they were still enemies. And then through marriage did they become friends. As you read the books, Kate is great because she becomes the next family matriarch in place of the mother, Violet Bridgerton, who we love. She's still in the books. We're not getting rid of her. I'm just saying, new roles to look out and chaperone people. Book 3 is not season 3. Book 4 is season 3. We're moving on. You're going to meet Colin Bridgerton. You met him in season 1. I just didn't talk about him. He was in love with someone else in season 1 who doesn't matter because she's not here right now. He is the love interest of Penelope Featherington, the most overlooked, the most ignored, the most spinster, although she and Eloise are the same age. She's 28 in the book, and by the time, at that age, if you're not married, why are you even here? Well, she, in the series, is going to decide, it's time for me to find a husband and get the heck out of this Featherington family, because they are crazy. And it looks like she's going to be asking Colin for help. We're going to watch him decide to help her and then struggle with his feelings as he realizes Penelope is more than just a friend. Indeed. In the book, it went like this. Penelope was going about her business, Lady Whistledown business, acting normal. She's 28 years old and she realizes she wants something for herself. She wants to be kissed. She's never been kissed before. And she's like, I deserve it. I'm going to ask my absolute favorite person who I wish would marry me. Colin Bridgerton, I've never been kissed. You my friend. Will you kiss me? And he's like, I can't, Penelope. No. And she's like, you can? You will. And then he does. And when he does, he realizes he's made a huge mistake because now he can't get Penelope out of his head. And he's like, oh my God, am I in love? It's really a lot of fun to watch the friendship into lovers for me versus the enemies into lovers. I'm curious to see, because season 3 looks like what's going to happen instead is that what we are going to have is Colin is back from traveling around the world. Penelope is angry with him for comments that he said at the end of season 2, which actually happened in book 3. It's okay, I'm not mad about it. I'm mad about it. It's fine. So he heard her make these very public, humiliating comments about how he would never get with Penelope Featherington. She would be the absolute last woman in the world that he would ever marry. And so looks like there's going to be some vengeance. Enemies between Penelope and Eloise, because Lady Whistledown destroyed Eloise's reputation. She did it to save her friend because the queen was totally going to execute some people, but it was still rough. Still rough. And then, of course, we also have these new men who are going to come in to be the love interest people. They're not going to matter because it's Colin. It's Colin. It's always going to be Colin. Read the books. Book 3 is actually the story of Benedict Bridgerton and Sophie Beckett. It's marvelous. It's basically Cinderella if Cinderella never wanted to be someone's mistress and demanded instead a correct relationship. It's awesome. I love it. Bridgerton, look for you, look for me. And this is why you should watch Bridgerton. We've got beautiful costumes, we've got beautiful people, we have beautiful drama, and we have so many more things that I could possibly talk about right now.
And there's nipples.
And there's nipples. Season 1, episode 6. Nipple.
Yep.
Season 2, episode 8. Last 2 minutes. Nipple on a silver platter. It's like they remembered you hadn't seen any nipples all through season 2, and they're like, crap, we have a quota. We will see what happens in season 3 when it comes to nipples. And in regards to how it's going to go, you'll have to come back May 16th. That's when Bridgerton season 3 will be releasing part 1.
Yes. And then there'll be part 2 later on in the year.
In June.
Yes. Well, we'll have you on the show to discuss the first episode of season 3 of Bridgerton.
There will be spoilers.
Oh, there definitely will be. So thank you, Danielle, for
Thank you for letting me hold your microphone.
a lovely dramatic reading. So make sure you check it out. And don't forget to check out the Dragoon's Lair podcast on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, and on YouTube. So make sure you check it out and come back for Bridgerton when we discuss the first episode of season 3.
Where we will spill the tea.
Oh, and Danielle will. Thank you, and we will see you all there.
Woo.
Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. We're going to have Danielle back on the show. She'll be here to talk about the first episode of Bridgerton season 3, because I'm not going to torture these guys because they don't want to deal with it. And it's too much homework.
Thank you, no.
It's too much homework for Mike. You can tell. It's like he sits there and it's like, he gives me so much to watch as it is.
Yeah.
So now let's talk trailers. Jimmy, break down the new trailers.
Okay.
Because I know you want to cover it.
Ladies and gentlemen, James Gunn has put out a teaser trailer for Superman Legacy.
Is that the one with Grogu in the back and he's just shooting fire out of his hands?
No,
I
it was one of those things where I saw the photo of the costume and I don't like it. I'm okay with the logo being the Kingdom Come logo. It's the new 52 suit.
Yeah.
I don't mind it.
I didn't mind the new 52 suit.
I did not like the new 52, and
Is that why you didn't like the new suit? Because you didn't like the new 52, or you just didn't like the suit?
I don't like the suit. Looks baggy on him
You
too.
gotta remember which new 52, because
Yes, but that's
they went so many different ways with
but
that new 52.
but the suit on the actor looks baggy. I'm like, Superman. the suit shouldn't look baggy. I mean, granted, Superman shouldn't have a beer gut, but at the same time, Superman also shouldn't have a suit that looks too big on him.
Exactly.
It's like the damn thing is supposed to be snug to his body because it doesn't, if it's on top of his body directly, it doesn't get destroyed.
Right.
Which I find funny because you would think the cape would get destroyed more because at least towards the back of it.
Yeah.
Because it's further away from
Well,
him.
then again, if you're going by, like one of the earlier issues, wasn't that in the spaceship with him? So it's not made of like human material.
Yeah, it was. You know, it was made from his baby blanket.
Yeah, his baby blanket.
But the rest of the suit can't be. But then again, you know, you figure as long as it's not the Man of Steel suit, I'm kind of okay with it.
Honestly, I didn't have a problem with the Man of Steel suit either.
You know,
Man of Steel or Man of Steel?
Steel.
Okay.
I thought it was.
You get your earrings.
No. In all honesty, I didn't like the Man of Steel movie.
No.
I didn't like.
Oh,
I didn't mind the Man of Steel.
Yeah.
It was too long. It was too dark. I get it. You want to have Zod showing up and stuff, but Superman has always been the character that's out in the light. He doesn't wear a mask.
He's the Boy Scout.
Yeah.
Right, he is the Boy Scout, but did you read what Snyder was saying, why he made it that dark?
No, because Snyder made everything dark, and it bothered
Snyder
me.
said he set the tone in the Man of Steel because if he was able to finish his version of the DCEU, he would have had, after Justice League, he would have had Darkseid screw with Superman's mind, turning him bad.
So he wanted to basically not even go New 52. He wanted to go and do the final episodes of the Superman the animated series.
Yeah. And then he would have redeemed himself by the end of the third act.
Zack Snyder, you're a good director. Your movies are too fucking long, and you need to never touch a comic book movie again that isn't an independent comic. You can stay with The Watchmen. You can stay with 300. Do not touch any major properties because you don't understand the source material.
What was the one with the girls? Sucker Punch.
Sucker Punch. What? Yeah. That was so artsy fartsy. I had a hard time with
That went
it
all over the place.
because it was a fever dream.
Who, his?
Pretty much. I mean, listen, Sucker Punch had some great actors in there, but there wasn't a lot of dialogue. There was like all these overdone action sequences that felt like a dream sequence. I'm like, did he take LSD before writing the script for this? Because it was
hurt.
I don't know. I think the brownies were really giving in.
No. This was like an LSD, like dropped a few tabs of acid. Like, I didn't know what the fuck was going on. But Snyder does shit like this with his movies. And that's the thing. You know, the Snyder Cut alone, 4 hours. Literally, 4 hours.
What was the Batman v Superman?
Far too long. And far too many things going on in that one movie. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. Affleck needed to open his mouth and tell Snyder, hey, just to let you know, I did this movie already. It was Daredevil. We told too many stories in that one, and it was bad. Don't do this. Yeah. Even if you want to go and slap it on and say like, oh, well, you know, Justice League because we have the Whedon cut. Listen, people have problems with Josh Whedon at this point. Whedon has come up with a bunch of classic stuff that, you know what?
That's why the Russos had to fix everything with the Marvelverse.
But you also have to remember, when you look at the problematic nature of Joss Whedon, that's a problematic nature of the individual. Some of the stuff he created, though, you can't really go back and sit there and say, oh, Buffy the Vampire Slayer was a terrible idea. No, it worked.
It was a bad movie.
It was a fun movie.
Yeah.
But once they made it into a series, it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Dollhouse was a great show.
Angel was at least decent.
Angel,
was
it
decent.
left.
Okay, I didn't like the ending.
That was the major problem, was the ending. It's like, if they would have gotten another season, other than, ending with, I get to fight the dragon.
I want to fight a dragon.
Oh, God. It was
Just give him like
I poked
a
the
2-hour,
Yeah.
or like a little 3-parter to wrap everything.
I think they did that. For them, it was more, hey, we went into the comics, so we're going to wrap shit up in the comics, because even Buffy continued on in the comics.
Yeah.
But, like, Firefly, amazing. He's come up with some great stuff. He's also done some terrible stuff. Alien 3. When you work on stuff like Alien 3 or whatever the fourth one is.
It was
Yeah.
Alien 3,
Yeah.
and then Alien
4.
No, after that,
Alien Resurrection.
Resurrection.
that was the one with
Winona Ryder.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they started doing the whole reboot thing, like Prometheus and stuff like that.
Yeah, which, I'm okay with some of that, but like, he's done a lot of stuff that it doesn't have to be good. We know it's not all going to be good, but okay, you know what? He's problematic as a human being. Who isn't problematic? The thing is, it's like, whether he was young or whatnot, we'll see how his career turns out, if it even makes a resurgence.
I think he's going to lay low for a little bit.
He's laid low for a while now.
Oh, we did? Yeah.
Yeah, but we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, let's face it. Somebody else who needs to lay low, Jonathan Majors,
He has no choice.
Yeah, it's, we're seeing and this is the thing, and this is a discussion that we can have because it's entertainment based. I've noticed lately on TikTok, there's been a resurgence that it started back in 2022, when all these young kids, the Gen Zs, the Gen Alphas, they saw Stranger Things. Mm-hmm. They heard Master of Puppets. It's like, oh, we like Metallica, and then they heard about these problematic things, which some of them weren't even Metallica. It was, what was it? Megadeth.
Doing what?
Like comments made about Kurt Cobain when he killed himself, but there was also like Metallica had done like stupid stuff in their drunken youth.
Yeah, they
know it, and it's like, well, what Gen X hasn't canceled Metallica or this? It's like, I've seen the resurgence, and not for nothing. People want to go and sit there and act like Gen X is out there to cancel things. No, we got a thicker skin. Let's face it, when we didn't like something, we just stopped.
Change the channel.
Yeah. And that was the thing. Metallica, I don't know about you. I was a Metallica fan for a long time. I still like some of their older stuff.
Yeah.
But I think by the time they got to Saint Anger, I was done with them. And I was kind of done with them a little before that, when they sued Napster and their fans for downloading the music.
See, Saint Anger, they were trying to recapture their original sound because Load and Reload weren't that good. I mean, they had a few good songs.
I feel like there were more songs on Reloaded than there was on Saint Anger.
Yeah, I mean, you if you take Load and Reload, you could pick 3 or 4 songs out of each and make one good album. Saint Anger, I think they went, oh shit, we got to try to get our old heavy sound back. And they pushed out Saint Anger. It wasn't that good.
No.
Then they waited a little while. Excuse me. And then they came out with Death Magnetic. Mm-hmm. Better, harder album. The last one just released, 72 Seasons, or Season 72. That's like listening to old school Metallica again.
Yeah, but at that point...
And they even did another S&M...
Did they?
Yeah, they did another symphony in Metallica.
They didn't do any new music though, right?
No, they did they added a little bit more after the Black Album. They added a few more.
Okay, but it's one of those things where it's like, I've already checked out from them, and it's like, okay, yeah, hearing Metallica on Stranger Things was fun, and it was classic. It felt right for the time. But it's like, am I going to go back and like, I don't want to buy their new albums. I'm not interested anymore. But it's not because I'm canceling them. I'm just not interested. I moved on to other bands. You know, if somebody sits there and tries to tell me it's like, well, now there's a problem with Five Finger Death Punch. I'm going to tell them, fuck you. I don't care. I like whoever I like.
Right.
You know, let's face it. Every artist has their problematic issues. You know,
Ozzy Osbourne.
Everybody has a good album. Everybody has a bad album. We all know that. Everybody has good songs. Everybody has bad songs.
The problem is we've got a younger generation that they're quick to cancel when they don't like something, but they want to sit there and crap on everyone else because, oh, you're doing X, Y, and Z. So why should we let you enjoy this that you enjoyed because it was good before, but now something bad happened?
Right.
You know, we know Jonathan Majors has his legal issues. You know, we know what he did. And we're supposed to sit there and be like, oh, well, you know, I can't watch anything he's ever done again. You know, he's done good stuff before. It's not like he's a bad actor.
Right.
You know, am I going to sit there? Johnny Depp's been a problematic actor in the past. So I'm supposed to not watch anything from him because he's had his alcohol issues. He's had all this other stuff. And he married a woman who was way too young for him, who shit in their marriage bed because she's nuts too. You've got two people that should have never been together, but hey, let's go and let's cancel Amber Heard because of Johnny Depp married her. That was his mistake.
Yep.
She made her own mistakes. Is she a terrible actress? No. Is she a great actress? No.
She's down the middle. She has She has roles that suit her, and roles she shouldn't touch.
Yeah, but it's like everybody wants to cancel everything, and it's like the only reason I can see canceling something is when it's a continuous and there is no growth. There's no change. When the pattern of behavior is consistent. Look at what Disney did with James Gunn. James Gunn, problematic tweets. We fired him before Guardians of the Galaxy 3 because why? Oh, we're doing a merger with Fox and it's going to make us look bad. He had changed so much from those early tweets of trying to get people's attention to then going off and doing like so much good work and everyone raving about how great a guy he is. Where the cast of Guardians of the Galaxy didn't even want to come back if it wasn't him and it wasn't his script.
And Disney really shouldn't be telling people, oh, you know, he said bad words. If they had Twitter or any kind of social media when Walt Disney were alive, he would go on anti-Semitic rants that would make Mel Gibson go, what the fuck are you saying?
Yeah, considering he was a Nazi sympathizer.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And this is a company that says, oh, no, this person said bad words. This person hurt this person's feeling. We should cancel him. No. Whatever James Gunn said, I don't even remember.
Yeah.
He said it how many years ago?
He's a different person. Right. It's not like he's still doing those same tweets that people could see as offensive.
Right.
I mean,
again, if that's the case, let's bring up Disney.
Well, not even just that. Look at Taylor Swift's fans.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Taylor Swift's fans they cannot allow anything. They flip out at the drop of a dime. I'm not going to say something bad about Taylor Swift, but what I am going to say is her fans take it to another level. And right now, okay, she's with, Travis Kelce still?
Travis Kelce.
They're fine with him, but they had to go back. They looked into his past tweets, everything to see if there was something problematic. Oh my God.
Leave him alone.
Well, they're looking for new material for her to write a song about.
Well listen, if there's a breakup between those two, she'll have her own material to come up with stuff because it'll be things that happen to her. Yep. Not, oh, look, he said all this stuff long before he even met her.
Yep.
It's like, no. It's going back and like digging through people's past. You're going to find dirt no matter how far back you go. Mm-hmm. It's a matter of taking responsibility and seeing, did they take responsibility for what they did? Have they changed? Or are they still the same toxic asshole that they've been since they said it the first time?
And most importantly, what context was whatever was said in?
Yeah. Listen, but sometimes joking about certain things can be a little more offensive. So
there are certain things you just don't joke about. But argument's sake, let's just say right now, me and we get into a tweeting war, okay?
Yep.
And I call you, I'll call you an asshole. I call you something stupid, but you know I'm joking.
Yep.
Okay, and let's just say 4 years down the road, we're both big movie people.
Yep.
Somebody's gonna dig up that shit and say, "Oh, he called him an asshole." I'm like, "Well, yeah, he is an asshole. What do you want me to do about it? Yeah. Nothing I can do about that."
Oh no, and then
that's going to start a whole big war, and one of the two of us is going to get canceled.
Oh no, because then they come to me and they're like, "Oh, well, he said you were an asshole." Yeah, have you heard what I call him?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
when we tell them go back and check out episodes of the Dragoon Slayer podcast.
Exactly, and not only that, but also, when did I ever say I wasn't an asshole? I take great pride in that.
I know.
Yeah.
It's like, listen, if you want to tell us about if we suck, we're good, if you've got suggestions for the show, email us at dragoonslayerpodcast@gmail.com. That's dragoonslayerpodcast, all one word, Dragoon is spelled with 2 O's. That's dragoonslayerpodcast@gmail.com. You fucking pricks.
First shill of the show, people.
That's right. I waited this long to do it.
And I'm proud of you.
It's so hard. I want to shill so bad. I really do. There's a part of me that likes doing these little spots and like almost a commercial take for the show because we don't have any sponsors
yet.
Granted, my language might be part of the reason why.
Oh, shit.
And then there's that. But we're more than willing to take on sponsors. And as you can clearly tell, I like shilling. If I'm for something, I'm for it. And I have no problem like putting myself out there and telling people how great it is. Like, this isn't a paid advertisement, but I sit there. I've listened to other podcasts. They've promoted products. I've ended up buying them. You know what? I'm glad that I bought Harry's razors. The Gillettes that I was using before, the razors were getting rusty too quick. I'm sorry. I'm spending $30 for a 4-pack of razors, and they're rusty. That's a problem. I get a bunch for a lot less. Oh my God. Not a paid advertisement, not an advertisement at all. This is just my honest opinion. I'd rather use something that I'm going to use and it's a good product, not something that everybody's using because it's been pushed out there. Right. And it's like, oh, wait, but this thing's crap. Everybody can sit there and they can bitch, whine, and complain about stuff. And we do. I don't deny that. But let's be real. We can do whatever we can with what we have. And let's face it, we can watch movies, TV shows, and we talk about it. That's what we do. Everybody has an opinion out there. And, you want to come.
Everybody has an asshole.
And they all stink.
Yep. So just remember, if you want to leave us a comment, please do. And you can leave us comments on the YouTube channel where we have the video episodes of the Dragoon Slayer podcast posted, the Blue Dragoon 13 YouTube channel. That's where you'll be able to see the video episodes. And trust me, you're going to want to see the video episode of this episode because the dramatic reading of Bridgerton needs to be viewed.
Yep.
Now, but we are on Spotify. Make sure you leave us a review on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, iTunes, Amazon Podcast. Leave us a review, like, share, subscribe, tell everybody about the show. We appreciate it. It helps us, and it also helps other people find the show.
Speaking of Spotify, I have a new survey, if you don't mind.
Go for it.
Okay, since I've been watching a lot of AMC lately, and AMC Plus has been having Joe Bob Briggs on, I like to get a survey. If back in the day when you were junior high school, or after you worked on a Saturday night or Friday night, you came home, watched a late night movie. What was it? Was it Rhonda Shear's Up All Night? Or was it Elvira on USA Up All Night? Or was it Joe Bob Briggs, The Last Drive-In? Let us know.
I think you're missing one.
Which one?
Well, with USA Up All Night, yes, you had Elvira, but you also had Gilbert Godfrey.
Oh, yes.
The late, great Gilbert Godfrey.
Let us also include Gilbert Godfrey.
Yep. Because I remember
Yes, I
where
remember.
it would alternate between Rhonda Shear and Gilbert Godfrey.
Yes.
So you never knew which one you were going to get.
You were hoping it would be Ron DeShears.
But because when it was Gilbert Godfrey, you especially
no.
late at night.
I'm going to bed.
No, you also had to turn the volume down.
And you still heard him clear as day.
Oh yeah. You know, and that's the thing. You know, we've got a lot of stuff that we're going to cover on this show, and there's going to be things we're going to talk about. You know, you can check the polls that I put up on the Spotify page. So when you go to Spotify, if you scroll down, there are polls that you can interact with. So make sure you check those out. And don't forget to email us at dragoonslayerpodcast@gmail.com. That's dragoonslayerpodcast, all one word. Dragoon is spelled with 2 O's. That's dragoonslayerpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you, Jimmy, for doing the hand gestures because I didn't feel like doing it right now.
Welcome.
Dick.
Fuck you, Mike. We still love you.
I don't know about that one, but but we tolerate you. Tolerating is just as good, if not better, for some people. So, with that being said, Mike, why don't you let everyone know how they can reach out to us and you?
All right, you want to hit us up? You can follow us on Instagram at the Dragoon Slayer Podcast. You can follow us on Facebook at, oddly enough, the Dragoon Slayer Podcast. You can follow me, Michael Schiavo, Facebook, under Michael Schiavo. Go figure, I know, weird. And you can follow my other page, Hamster Pellet Productions, on Instagram and Facebook. You want to hit us up? Email us at Dragoon Slayer Podcast, all one word, Dragoon spelled with 2 O's, dragoonslayerpodcast@gmail.com.
Jimmy.
Okay, everybody, you can reach me on Snapchat, James, SI0925, all lowercase. Instagram and Threads, James H_the4th. Facebook, James Haynes the 4th. TikTok, James0925. Also, everybody that saw me on We Are Family would like to know another point of view of We Are Family. Tune into Lily Marcella at Literally Heinous, and she will give you her insights of going on We Are Family.
You're going to need to spell that.
Yeah, because I thought you said go up Uranus.
No, Literally Heinous. That is H-E-I-N-O-U-S.
Thank you, because I honestly thought, I think Mike and I heard the exact same thing. And, yeah. Now, one thing that we didn't talk about before we wrap everything up was we had Star Wars Day, and they released Star Wars Tales of the Empire.
Yep.
And I watched the first episode because they're short episodes.
Yeah, like 15 minutes each.
Yeah.
Yeah, 15, 16 minutes. So the first episode was, what was that? Path of Fear?
Path of Fear.
Yeah. Now, General Grievous, the Night Sisters, this was pretty fucking amazing. I love the action to it. You know, they did Tales, what was it? Tales of the Jedi?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've already had Tales of the Jedi. Now we get Tales of the Empire. I don't know what they'll do next year, but what'd you think, Mike?
I enjoyed it. You know, I like origin stories, I like background stories. So seeing how the Night Sisters came to be and having the Inquisitors come out, because I think I did like 4 episodes this morning. So you have, you know, you already see Vader and here are your Inquisitors and everything else, but, you know, it's just enough action and just enough backstory to keep yourself interested, and it's just short enough where you don't have to think too much about it. It's just at that happy medium where if you do too much, it's going to suck, and if you don't do enough, it's going to suck. It's right down the middle. It's very good. The animation is good. The story is good. The voices are good. Highly recommend it.
Jimmy?
I got to watch all 6 episodes, and I like the different perspective. I mean, you always hear everybody's a fan of the Jedi. Everybody's a fan of Luke, a fan of the droids. But then you get to be a fan of the Empire now and be like, okay, I can dig it.
Come to the dark side. We have cookies.
Cookies.
Yeah. I watched only the first episode because there was a lot of stuff I was watching and time constraint. But no, I have to say, like, seeing General Grievous like this and like it really was impactful. I'm looking forward to watching the rest of the episodes. I don't think we're going to cover the rest of them because they are very short.
Yeah.
But we will talk more about some of the other stuff that's coming up down the line. But in the meantime, We want to make sure you guys enjoy everything that you're getting from us. So if you have any suggestions, comments, things you want to see us talk about, and if you have any topics at all, make sure you email us and let us know. That's dragoonslairpodcast@gmail.com. That's dragoonslairpodcast, all one word. Dragoon is spelled with 2 O's. That's dragoonslairpodcast@gmail.com. I just had to. And you can actually reach out to me if you're looking for me on the majority of my social media platforms. Blue Dragoon 13 on TikTok, Instagram, Threads, Twitch. And on Twitch, you can find a link to the Discord page where you can become part of the community. And as we grow, we'll start doing more things on the Discord page for you guys if you all sign up. So just make sure you check that out, and don't forget to check out the Blue Dragoon 13 YouTube channel to see all the episodes of the Dragoon's Lair podcast that we have available. There are some lost episodes that we don't have video for, unfortunately, either due to technical difficulties or we didn't think to record them video, so we just went audio. But yeah, so there's plenty of great episodes to check out there. And let us know your thoughts. Just make sure you like, share, subscribe, do all the things, hit the buttons and stuff. And we appreciate each and every one of you. And with that being said, I got 2 Gen Xers on the phone acting like a couple millennial and Gen Zers. So I'm shitting on all of you right now.
Yep.
So with that being said, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Now get out.